Is it digital? Is it physical? It's art.
If you are fortunate enough to be born with a gift, it is also your responsibility to share that gift, not only to benefit yourself, but to benefit others, your people, your community.
Live with your work, artists. See which ones are misbehaving, which ones are sitting around your studio that need more attention. The ones you notice you just did and that came out of habit, not disruption or uncertainty.
The answer is a direct connection. Put your artwork in front of others as much as you can. And of course, use a website, use any means necessary to get your artwork in front. You don't know what's working until you try.
You just keep going.
There's no choice, right?
There's no choice.
Yeah.
And you can't be a victim because then you're not going to keep going.
I think posting online and just telling people like, I'm going to do this thing for 365 days. That is motivating. That's exciting.
You are musical. You are artistic. We all have a gift. We all have a gift. We just have to find it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Jeff Sass. I'm the CMO of .art Registry, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to our second annual International Artist Day conference. International Artist Day is celebrated all over the world every year on October 25th, which is actually Pablo Picasso's birthday. And last year was the 20th anniversary of International Artist Day. So we had this idea to have an online conference, and we had our first one last year at this time. And it was extremely successful. There's some great discussions that you could watch on YouTube on the recording. So we were certain we needed to do it again this year. So we're delighted to be here with you today for this year's edition of our annual online conference. We have 4 spectacular panels, great topics that'll be of great value to you if you're an artist or just interested in the art world. So we hope you'll enjoy this. On behalf of Ovi and the entire .art team, I want to welcome you. And just to tell you a little bit about .art, as you know, we're the registry operator for the domain extension .art. So instead of .com or .biz or .org, you can have .art. We also own and operate Hug.art, which is a wonderful community of artists. And our charitable mission is around the healing power of art. So we believe very strongly in art's power to heal. And so we donate a portion of our revenue from domain sales to support our Healing Power of Art initiative. We actually fund a fellowship at George Washington University in DC for graduate studies in art therapy. So we pay the tuition for 2 students a year to bring more art therapists into the world. So that's kind of our behind the scenes. So when you're supporting .art, you're also supporting that very important mission. And if you're interested in getting your own .art domain, you can use the code webinar at www.get.art for 50% off any domain there. And tonight we're going to give away 20 copies of our artist handbook to someone who registered. Some of you who have registered for this event will go into a drawing, and 20 of you will get a hard copy of our artist handbook, which we published in March of this year. So that's about it for me. It's my pleasure to turn things over to our producer, our host, Anastasia, who has set up this wonderful conference, which I hope you all enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for the intro. My name is Anastasia. I'm head of content and editorial at .art. I'm joining you here from Paris, where it's Art Week right now. So one could say that the talk of art and artists is definitely in the air, but I'm thrilled to be with you here online. As Jeff mentioned, we're going to have 4 great panels. First one being on AI authorship and advantage, which is a hot topic that everyone wants to talk about. We'll have 5 great speakers who will be covering it from very different angles. The second panel will be on networking, specifically to the creative and art world, which we all know is full of nuance. So we'd love to try and tackle that subjects. Third panel will be on digital fashion, which I'm really excited about because it's not something I know much of, but who knows, maybe in 10 years, having a digital avatar and a digital style will be as necessary as having a domain name in a website right now. So bear in mind that. And last but not least, we'll have a panel moderated by head of hug.art, Jelena Zavilev, which is going to be all about community and artists with artists, about how they're harnessing the evolving tools and taking on everything that's happening right now in the art world. Please keep in mind that each panel will have a Q&A section. So if you have relevant questions, please drop them in the comments section on whatever platform you're watching, and we'll try our best to address them. If not, follow us on socials and we'll try to find another format to answer your questions and address pain points. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce our first panel on AI and put on stage our speakers. Please bear with me for that, as there are quite a few of them. Hi, guys. Thank you all for joining. And as this is Artist Day, I'd love for the first speaker that I introduced to be Wildy Martinez. She's a Dominican-American artist, fashion designer, and founder of Wildflower Fields, which can be found at wildflowerfield.art. We actually did an interview with Wildy a while back for our blog, and her story is incredibly inspiring. It's about many things, but one of them is her journey with vitiligo, which she was diagnosed with at 25 years old and really struggled to embrace. But then she really did once she incorporated that into her art. Wildy, please tell us a bit more about your story.
Hi, my name is Wildy Martinez, as Anastasia mentioned. I do own and founded Wildflower Fields, which is basically an umbrella over everything that I do. I am a professionally trained fashion designer and been in the industry for over almost 2 decades, which is kind of crazy to say. And my love for art has been since I was really young, but really I didn't become an independent artist until I joined the NFT community, the Web3 community. That's how I came across the Hug community, and I started to experiment with technology and art. And I live currently in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I do many things. I think that's what the article that our domain did about me, about all the things that I do, which is something that I also encourage others to do, not to put yourself in a box, but I am a person that says yes, and I try things out, and that's how I ended up really curious about AI as a traditional artist who was opposed to it, and now I'm advocating for it, which is a very interesting take, and I really want to be a bridge for artists who are in the in-between. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for that. I could see Deanna smiling there and laughing because she knows Wildy quite well. So you're up next. Deanna Leonard is a powerhouse of a woman. She's got 20 plus years of experience leading marketing, merchandising, and design teams for Fortune 500 companies and high growth startups, paired with a deep fluency in generative tools and AI. She was recognized as LinkedIn Top 100 AI Creative of 2024. And she's also the CCO of She is AI, a platform working to make sure there are no voices being left out of the conversation about AI by including women, youth, and underrepresented communities. Deanna, it's a pleasure to have you. Please tell us a bit more.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow, what an introduction. I sound so important. I'm really not that important. I'm just a huge connector and a huge advocate, especially for women in art. My entire life has been about connecting the right people to the right opportunities, and I absolutely love it and celebrate it. I'm here today representing She is AI. I was Chief Communication Officer. I'm now on their board. I opened a consultancy, and I now currently work full-time for Coca-Cola and their AI art team, which has been amazing and so much fun. And it just shows you how things are changing. There's such a conversation going on right now about traditional art and AI art, and is there an intersection? Is it going to make a difference? Or is it just going to be AI slop? And we'll get more into that, I'm sure, as we do questions and chat. But I'm a huge proponent Of She is AI, just FYI, the latest issue comes out tonight, and it basically celebrates everyday women who speak up and show up with their art, and it's really going to be amazing. So anyway, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, in case you didn't know. That's where Coca-Cola's world headquarters is. I am married with a kid in Buffalo who also is a big fan of art and sports. 2 dogs who show up in my art quite a bit. I post at least once a day on LinkedIn, and you can find me at DeannaLeonard.art because, of course, I'm a huge supporter of the dark art.
Thank you so much for that. And that is consistency, posting once a day on LinkedIn. That's we can all learn from that. Next up, we have Judd Levy, who is an artist who actually has been, I think, a member of the Hug community for quite a while and applied for many open calls there. And now he's launching his own project, which can be found at aigarden.art. And Judd is joining us from Hawaii, where it's currently 5 o'clock in the morning. So thank you for that, Judd. And please tell us a little bit more about your project and journey.
Sure. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm in Hawaii, so hopefully I'm on top of my game. It's a little early, but I'm still, kind of getting myself together, but I feel good. I'm excited to be here. So my first exposure to generative art really started maybe about 2 or 3 years ago when the technology was really in its infancy, and the outputs were not really great. But I've always been a proponent of technology. I'm actually a high school teacher as my side job. I'm kind of transitioning into what I'm doing now with art, but I've been a huge proponent of the use of technology in the classroom, and as soon as AI kind of came to the mainstream, I really pushed that to my students, how to use it effectively and ethically. But when I found Hug, I think early on, I just fell in love with the platform and started applying, to open calls, and won some of them, and just got really excited about sharing my art and my experiences with anybody who wanted to see what I was doing. I started the AI Garden platform about 10 months ago, and I was an investor in the Supra blockchain, and I saw people building on the blockchain, all different kinds of applications, and I said, I wonder if I can make an application that will allow users to create art through the generative process, and then allow that art to turn into real world NFTs, because I hadn't seen anything exactly like that. I mean, people were experimenting a little bit with doing some AI on the blockchain, but I thought I could take it to the next level with the art that I was creating through the different generative art programs that I was using. So initially I started by just wanting to create a single NFT, and it's blossomed into this kind of ever-growing platform that allows users to create generative art pieces that my platform will then take their art and create stories from it. It analyzes the art and builds it into an ongoing lore book that it really grows as the users continue to mint. It's a really exciting platform that I can't wait to bring to everyone. We're still about a week or two away from our launch, but I'm really excited to show everybody what I've done. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Judd. Next up, we have Vladimir. Vladimir was once actually part of the .art team, and now he serves as Director of Development at the Almaty Museum of Arts, that's in Kazakhstan. He actually has a black belt in karate, but today we're going to talk more about his background in harnessing innovation for the benefit of both museum and artist communities. He is the founder of AI Hokusai project, which gives him a lot of insight in how artists are harnessing AI. And I believe he's now in Vienna, where he was just attending the React and Caltech summits and conferences. So Vladimir is really in the right place to give us the last from the market.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Anastasia. I don't understand what to add more after your explanation. So I'm 20 years in play. I'm expert researcher and lecturer in art and culture and museum sphere. So my main topic is digital heritage and how we can connect modern artistic practice and all what we can create and we can preserve today to legacy and how to work together. And a little bit later, I explain what I mean. Thank you.
Thanks, Vladimir. Thank you. Last but not least, we have Denis Belkevich. He is a general partner at Fuel Arts, which, among other things, produces a brilliant art and tech startup market report, which is annual. Denis, I think, sometimes complains that we'd call him the startup guy, but what it really means is that he's really plugged into everything that goes in the art market from the tech perspective and from other different ones. So actually, I'd like to ask Denis, aside from introducing himself, to give us a bit of an insight into what he finds increasingly interesting from the last things he has heard and learned in his research. Hi, Denis.
Yeah, hi everyone again. Thank you, Anastasia, for inviting me. It was quite strange to hear that I'm complaining that some might call me a startup guy. I love that definition. The more older I get, the more I love when someone calls me a guy. But yeah, a startup guy is the guy who has spent all of his savings on startups, but received experience and who knows things, who knows all the gaps and hazards. And yeah, truly will. At Fuel Arts as the first New York and Miami-based accelerator and venture platform fully dedicated to art and technology, where not only help young startups grow, we also build our own products, many of which integrate AI. And as you mentioned, we closely monitor the market by publishing annual investment report in art and tech sector, where we're welcoming everyone to visit our website, fuelarts.com, and download for free all those reports. But I think that most of the people who are watching us now are familiar with it. Because if you want to stay in line with all the news on the art market and to be successful in the art world, you have to start with the background. And background means figures. So let's talk about figures today. I'd like to start with quite a different report, the one that was published just yesterday, the new Art Basel and UBS collectors report, and it gives a fascinating snapshot on how AI is already shaping the art world. For instance, according to the report, 20% of collectors say that they rely on AI tools to help them choose artworks to buy, whether it's AI-powered apps or large language models. What's even more interesting is that this number is now higher than the trust in social media, which stands at just 17%. Last year, it was vice versa. So the only group that still ranks higher than AI as a trusted source are professional art critics at 33%. What does it tell us? It means that artists today need to pay attention not only to what the press says about them, but also to what AI knows and thinks about them. Because in many cases, AI is becoming the first curator, the first filter between the artist and the collector. And I'd like also to mention that at Fuel Arts, over the past year, we have been focusing on improving our own appraisal methodology, and AI has become a core part of this transformation. We have developed, as a result, 5 new AI-driven models, but I'd like to concentrate briefly on 2 of these models that are especially relevant for contemporary artists watching us now, because they track and analyze their professional activities more thoroughly than ever before. So the first one of those 2 is what we call institutional history automation. Traditionally, an artist's participation in institutional projects like exhibitions, biennials, curated shows has been a key signal of recognition, but until recently, we know that that factor was difficult to measure objectively. So today, AI algorithms change that completely. They automatically connect data from specified platforms like Artifacts, Biennial Foundation, Artsy, ArtNet, as well as from museum websites, gallery archives, fair catalogs, press publications, whatever. So the result is an institutional rating of an artist or an artwork, which becomes a key metric of assessing investment potential in the eyes of collectors. So the second model that we use and artists should be cautious about is social impact, so-called SGE, social governments and ESG, environment, social, and governance. So AI, to be short, AI can now track non-financial but increasingly important factors such as sustainability and social responsibility. So this is especially relevant as more collectors, including banks, foundations, and corporate buyers, are looking to invest in art with measurable social value. I will not stop because I promised you 5 minutes. I will not stop on the startup landscape. You could see that in our reports, but I should mention only one thing, that unlike the NFT boom, where startups rushed headfirst into blockchain and overheated the sector of trade, today's AI adoption is more deliberate, more strategic, and that measured approach that startups do, it resonates with investors who prefer technologies that have been tested and validated before scaling. As a small example, in 2023, AI startups in art tech sphere accounted for only 24% of total art tech investments. In 2024 alone, 90% of investment in US dollars went to AI-enabled startups. So that's not already not the future. That's our current position. So here is my final point for artists. AI can analyze, it can amplify, it can predict, it can summarize, but it can't replace your artistic activity. So if there is nothing for the algorithm to read, to classify, to learn from, it has nothing to build on. That's why I would love you to put as much information online as possible about what you are doing and about your achievements. At the same time, you need to be more conscious than ever, because every step you take is now captured by AI, structured into data and reflected in your market visibility. So in other words, the future of art and AI is being co-written in real time. Consider that a co-created artwork, but that's your CV, that's your portfolio. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Denis. And I love what you said at the end. I think this should really have been like a tagline for this panel, that we are not seeing AI at all as a replacement, and we're here really to talk about how the creative community should harness it. But from what you said, it really seems like there is no escaping it. So I know there are a lot of people in the comments section saying that they don't really understand AI, and that's okay, because we will try our best to help you. But moving on to a different perspective, I'd like to ask Vladimir. because with his project AI Hokusai, he actually has a lot of insight into how artists are leveraging AI for the creative process. So maybe, Vladimir, you could start a bit with that.
Yeah, thank you, Anastasia. I totally agree with Denis. That's first point. Then I try to add something. So in our research project, we try to connect legacy, artistic process, create open call for artists, and try to understand how they can work with legacy and create them art piece with using AI tools. So, and also we create a big research and understand, and I want to say several numbers. For example, we have more than 500 answers in our survey, and we understand that art professionals, artists, art managers, art collectors, using 88% of them using AI tools every day. So I think it's very interesting information. Then most of them, also 88%, use Chat GPT in first place. Only other next step is Gemini. It's like 40%, and all other is less. Most for what? Not for generate AI, only for supporting, for educator, for finding some information, for research, and only for generations like less than 10%. It's interesting, I think, also for understanding how to use. And also we see that that one of the important part to use AI is like a communicator between legacy, between modern artists, and with artistic process, which creating right now. I think it's important to understand that every thing which you create now need to explore, or you must have some data sets and documentation about how it's works. And from this point of view, like a museum guy, I want to say that when we like curate work with artists and think, oh, okay, we take this art piece to our exhibition. It is very important for artists, because if you are if your art piece go to a museum, you like in one moment 2 or 3 times up your cost for art piece. As you know, it's very important. And so what's the criteria for choosing? One of the most criteria is if you have documentation about your artistic process and how you create your art piece, it is important, and we are ready to look at. And now it's very important to have for every artist have a documentary or some materials or how you create this the thing, especially if you use generative AI tools. Because from one side, we don't understand. It is really artistic process, or it is a small prompt, and also, for example, DALL-E generation without any symbols, meaning, without some background. This, I think, important part of what I want to add, that if you're working with AI tools, every time you need to show all your process. And it is a new, I think it's new experience and new challenge for artists which work with this kind of tools. And also it is very important, because when you think about what you can give for next generation, it's important to thinking about legacy, your legacy and digital heritage which you can create. And so from this point of view, if you have some documents, some context, you really can give for all humanities for museums, for institution of memory, some information for creating digital heritage. And in this way, your legacy will be lived for future.
Thank you,
Thank
Vladimir.
you.
I think you actually, without knowing, answered one of the questions we had from the audience, which was about how should creatives make sure that the AI processes are not stolen by the algorithm. So I guess the message here is to document everything you do, which is indeed a new practice, but that's something to keep in mind. Deanna, I think linking all of this together, I'd like you to share a bit from your experience with Coca-Cola and other companies, how you see creatives should be dealing with this ongoing change on a day-to-day basis.
It's so interesting. And at She Is AI, we talk about this quite a bit. In fact, I was just at a conference this last week where this entire conversation was happening because it is a disruptor, right? It's here. We've got to figure out how to use it, but preserve our true artistry. And what I didn't say in my introduction is I've been an artist since I was a kid. I've been a businesswoman since I was 12 and used to charge, you know, the 3rd and 4th and 5th graders a quarter to draw something on the cover of their folders. So I've been doing business and art my entire life since I was a young person. And one of the things I've noticed about this entire evolving conversation, I graduated from a 2-year degree after my college degree in graphic design at an art school in Tucson. The year, I'm giving away my age, but the year Photoshop came out. And everyone thought it was stealing. How could Photoshop, there's no way I'm ever going to use Photoshop or Illustrator or any of those programs. And now it's a part of daily life. The best AI artists that I know are the ones that leverage their career and their gifts and use it as another tool. It's not just plug in something and that's your art. It's literally using that background and that beautiful gift that you have with the right AI tools to produce something that is going to make a difference, that is going to tell your story. It's the same way with any brand, whether it's Coca-Cola, whether it's Hanes, also in my experience bank with fashion. How do you connect your art, your story, your brand to your customer in a meaningful, beautiful way? That's how I use AI tools.
Thanks for that. And I love the analogy with Photoshop, and someone else in the comment section actually compared AI to the printing press.
I saw that. Yeah.
Afraid of back then. So I think I'd love to hear Wildy on this because, yes, a lot of people in the comments are afraid of the creative practices and the creative agency being basically stolen through AI. So what do you think of that, and how do you make sure it doesn't happen if you do it anyway?
I'll answer that, and then I'll go back into these thoughts that are coming in my head. But there's so many AI tools and training models that are private. So as an artist, even as a form of an artistic library of your own, to create a database, you can have private AI tools that use your own art to create more art, or to expand your story, or to create a movie out of your own creation. So there are ways. It's just a learning curve with everything that we do, especially with technology. And I think that one of the things that I was afraid of in the beginning, I think, was less of is my art going to be stolen? Because now, you know, even with my, I don't know if everyone's on Zora now. It's a new social media with AI. And I told my husband, like, I don't know if I want my face, you know, out there. He's like, your face is already out there. Like, you're already a public person. You're on social media. Anyone can grab your photo and do something with it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So the conversation about stealing is not a new conversation. I think since the moment the internet existed and people were putting things up, you were at risk of your art being taken, or even with fashion, especially with my fashion background, of designers being ripped off and all that to say. But learning how to train your own model in a private way, that's how I started. But I wanted to share that I think besides the stealing of my aesthetics, It was more of the fear of the learning curve, and that there's a new thing out there that I have to learn. And I think as artists, an artist speaking to other artists, we just want to create. Like, we don't want to, and I come from Web3, crypto, NFTs, where that was a whole learning curve with crypto wallets and MetaMask, and I couldn't, learning about my secret code. And I'm like, I just want to create art. Why am I doing this? But there was something inside of me that knew that I had to embrace what was coming, which was obviously the advancement of technology, which made it almost easier for me to be curious about AI. So I think changing our mind from fearing this new movement, I say, or this new way, to being curious about it. And that's how, for me, it started. I think I remember I was working on using Procreate, which even digital art is, there's always a war against digital art and traditional art. And so if we look historically, there's always this war when it comes to an evolution of anything in any industry. But I remember I was doing artwork. I think I was spending 6 hours on an eyeball, just drawing an eye. And in my head, I'm like, man, like somebody's out there using AI doing this in 3 seconds. And it's not fair. And I felt more of like the speed of the overproduction of art that happened when AI came out. If you remember how much overproduction it was. But there's something that I always like to say, and I wrote it down. You're still the author of the prompt. You're still the I and the intention. And AI does not erase identity. It mirrors what you feed it. So if you approach it with depth and authenticity and clear message, that will come through. And now I've been doing this for 3 years. I can tell I always talk about a lazy AI art, or someone that has a story that is so moving, that has a point of view, that has a DNA that transcends human emotions, that makes you pause and think, that changes perspective. So I think let's not lose our voices as artists and our point of view, but definitely, and I know it's such an overused word, collaborate and leverage these tools, whether it's AI or blockchain, to expand your story. And for me, one of the things that got me into really exploring AI tools without the fear was because I did find a problem within AI, and I wanted to just say, there's a problem, that sucks, like there's no representation. If I prompt woman doctor, it wouldn't be a Black woman, it wouldn't be a Latina woman. If I prompt Latina, it would be a very overly sexualized. And I wanted to run away from it and say, this is broken. But I was challenged by one of my mentors, who's actually a former HUG, Michael Little, who said, well, what are you going to do about it? And it was such a challenge, because I knew I had to learn new things. And sometimes we don't want to really don't want to learn new things. We would just want to keep being very comfortable. And I was challenged with that. I'm like, hey, what am I going to do to represent my community and the vitiligo community? And that's when I started to train my own AI model. Of course, I had to learn how to do that. But that's like my I guess advice is just find something that you are feeling threatened by AI and turn it around on its head and make it your own, and make the story deeper and wider, and kind of fight with it. Don't give in, and don't let it go over your head either, but participate in a very curious way and let go of the fear.
I love that. So thanks, Wildy. And actually, just to introduce a bit of friction, because I think it's very important to know different points of view. I think what you just have been sharing would be a beautiful answer to something I read in The Atlantic today. It's by Charlie Warzel. He's one of the staff writers, and he just wrote today about AI. The loss of friction deprives people of something crucial. What happens between imagination and creation is ineffable. It entails struggle, iteration, joy, and frustration, disappointment, and pride. It is the process through which we enact agency. But actually, I think what you've just been sharing proves that you do all of the same things, but with AI as a collaborator. And I think that's beautiful. On this note, I'd like to bring Denis back because we have a question from the audience. I'll put it on the screen now. Do you think that these new tools will make us reevaluate the value of original creations from a market perspective? In other words, could the artist's work be more rentable in the future? And I'm asking you, Denis, because I think during our prep call, you mentioned something about new valuation models of art that are based on AI. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're mute, I think, or...
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for this question. I've actually found 2 questions addressed towards me, but I would reply this way to this question. So, first of all the artists shouldn't be worried or concerned that the artworks could be evaluated, because at least someone starts evaluating your art. The fact that someone, AI, private appraisal company, or art economist like me, I mean, I'm art economist for my background. And so if someone starts appraising your artwork, it means that you're getting noticed. So that's the most important thing. It's like if an artist's artwork is, I mean, the plot of the artwork is stolen and someone uses the plot. So that means, to me, it means success because someone recognized it. So it means that it's worth, then it's much better than if you get unnoticed. So in terms of re-evaluation, I wouldn't say that it's re-evaluation. It means that the best valuation, I mean, the valuation system and the new model with AI, it is based on the like 300-year art market data, which comprises the background of every valuation, with the repeat sales, with everything we know about the art market. So I would say that AI just adds something to the valuation. So the core, the plot of the valuation, it remains the same. So it's like a puzzle. Let's say the AI just adds the missing parts. So please don't think that AI, I mean, summing up, please don't think that AI is here to re-evaluate or to reconsider something. No, it's here to update and to add value to the value that you already have in your art. The question is, do all the artists have the initial value in their art? That's the second question.
Thanks, Denis. Judd, you've been listening to us all this time, and maybe it's time for you to share a bit as an artist and somebody who has an artist community he works with. What practices do you suggest to maintain agency and voice for artists who are trying it out?
Well, I agree with what everybody has been saying. In fact, Wildy actually spoke a lot about what I was going to talk about, because with AI, crafting the prompt is an art itself. If you look at traditional art, there's people who are wonderful, talented artists, and there's others who, you know, anybody can draw a picture. It doesn't mean it's going to be something that's good. And it's the same thing with AI art from the way that I view it. Not all AI art is good to look at. You have to have an eye for art. You have to be able to really see the art beyond what the tools just give you to create an art piece. So it takes not only creativity, but really an eye for what makes good art, and that really involves being able to understand art and be able to craft quality prompts that will create your vision. I understand, I've been reading the comments as well, and I understand that there are concerns from people that, this isn't, this may not be, art from their perspective. But when I first started getting into generative AI art, and I had been an amateur artist, long before that. I think I have a talent for traditional art, but when I first started getting into generative art, I thought that I was bringing something new and interesting to the field. I thought that my art really, my generative art really differed from what I had been seeing, and it really came down to my ability to craft prompts that showcased my vision. I brought my generative pieces to a local art gallery on Oahu, in Waikiki, in the art district there, and they loved what I was doing. And they had really no exposure to generative art before that, but they decided to bring me into their gallery and represent myself and my art, and showcase it in a brick and mortar gallery. Yes, I do get that some people might feel like it's a threat or to traditional art. But it's the same way with NFTs and art, because I know that many people look at NFTs and they say, well, what makes that valuable? It's just a picture. I can just take that picture and download it, and now I own it. And I think that it's just a matter of really embracing something that is maybe strange and new. And really understanding that it's art that's not in any way looking to take over what is done traditionally. It's just another avenue that really opens up art to people who can approach it from a different perspective. Not all traditional art is good. Not all AI art is good. Most AI art is not great at all. You really need to have an eye for, as an artist, to be able to understand what makes good art. And so that's how I look at it. From my perspective, it's not something that is intruding on the traditional art scene. It's something new. For some people, it's a little scary. They don't understand it, and that's okay. But I think it opens up art to more people and gives just more exposure to the process, and it's just I love it. I mean, every time I craft a prompt and create something that I think is beautiful, it still continues to blow my mind that AI can produce this. And so I've really embraced it from on my end. And in addition to art, just AI in general, I'm fascinated by it. And this is the reason why I've been able to build my platform. Is over the last 10 months that I've been creating AI Garden, the entire platform was built in total collaboration with AI. I've used ChatGPT the entire way for, how should we approach this and what should we do here? And then after every response that I get, the AI, because I've trained it to speak to me in a certain way, will say, yeah, that's a really great idea, but what if we tried this? And I would say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. And the collaboration that I have with AI, the use of AI to create new and interesting art, I think that I've been able to, at least I view what I've done, some of the pieces that I've created as unlike anything that I've seen before in the art world, I just love where we're going in this field.
Thanks for sharing that, Judd. And the reason why I put one of the comments on the screen earlier is because I love that people are having great realizations in the comment section. Somebody saying that it's just another medium. So I think that is correct. And Deanna, I wanted to ask you just before we wrap up this panel, because there's a very broad ecosystem of platforms, magazines, and communities focused on AI, and you really know quite a lot about it. So what role do you think this ecosystem plays in shaping the benefits of AI? And for somebody looking into it, how does an artist and creator choose which one to engage with?
Yeah, really great question. And you're right, there is a proliferation going on. And it's a good thing because we all have different tastes, different needs, different desires, different feelings when it comes to who we associate with, how we create our art. The reason I chose She Is AI is because not only do they celebrate creatives, they are a big believer in bridging the divide. There's a huge divide when it comes to internet access around the globe. And they are very focused on the global south and taking that 36% that have internet access in sub-Saharan Africa compared to the 90% that have access in the States and in the EU and bridging that. So find a community that meets your mission when it comes to your art. There's so many out there. Definitely go check us out on She Is AI. I think this latest issue that's coming out will have stories from women that will blow your mind and how AI is changing their life as they build their businesses and as they build their art, as they speak ethically, as they train the models. I think Wildy brought up a great point. When I first started playing with AI, one of the prompts was CEO behind the desk. It took me 17 times to get a woman behind the desk. 17 times. That's problem. That's problem. So find a community that's going to make a difference for you and your art. For me, it's She Is AI, as well as I'm in several others, but that's the one I'm representing today, and I'm a big believer in. And it's just like anything else. You can go alone, and you can go fast or at whatever speed, or you can go with a group and learn and grow and run much faster. So I'm a huge believer in collaboration.
Thank you for that, Deanna. And just for everyone listening, there are a lot of the topics we touched upon here, like community, Web3, digital arts, ethics. We're also going to speak about them with Evelīna and her community in panel 4. So stay tuned. I thank all of the speakers of this panel. Everything that they have mentioned in links to the businesses and projects will be added to the show notes. So bear with us and moving on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just swap the speakers. Thank you, Vladimir. Now we're moving on to our second panel. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. Our second panel is about networking specific to the arts and creative worlds, which, quoting one of the speakers here, is a pain, but we'll face this together. First off, I would like to introduce Veronika Gorbačova, head of curatorial department at Follow Arts, and Evelīna Gorbačova, head of digital development at Follow Arts. Follow Art is a global network of curators and artists, which you can actually check out at follow.arts. They have over a decade of experience working with art fairs, museums, galleries, and other cultural institutions internationally. And have quite a bit to say about the art of networking. So please take the stage and tell us a bit about Follow Art.
Thank you, Anastasia, and happy International Artist Day to everyone. It's great to touch upon these topics, the topics of networking and visibility in our beloved art world. And maybe I should say art worlds, because there are many of them, and this diversity makes our work at Follow Art so exciting. And Follow Art is a global network of curators and artists with infrastructure for a more open and collaborative art world. And I lead digital development and make sure that we continue creating the wholesome digital infrastructure for our members.
Yeah, and I'm leading the curatorial department. Thanks for inviting us. And it's a pleasure to be here. But yeah, as Evelīna mentioned, Follow Art starts with curators and artists, which form quite like a backbone of so many creative processes, but somehow still feel quite disconnected from each other. So Follow Art is the place for their presence and for collaboration. And when I'm describing what I do at Follow Art, is usually like saying that I take care of the people who take care of everything else, because curators are known for being great multitaskers and taking care of artworks, but also artists, and then also exhibition space and lights and sound and everything. So somebody should be looking after them, and that's me.
Great. And we have here with us a great multitasker, Daria Kravchuk, because she is an in-house curator for .art and also head of partnerships. And she has worked worldwide in many regions and has collaborated with institutions like the Mondrian Fund and the Goethe Institute. She has also written for several publications as an art journalist. And actually, I think her introduction into networking was from the point of view of a journalist. So Daria, please share with us a bit of your story.
Yeah, thank you for introduction, Anastasia. Actually, Veronika, I can relate to, the curator component of the curator's artwork. And it's very nice that actually someone needs to take care of us as well. But anyways, I am the head of art and strategic partnerships at .art, and my background is in curating and museology. And at .art, I work across communications and partnerships, also special projects, and also trying to bridge both the digital world and the physical world. And also I wanted to say a few words about .art itself, because I think it's much more than a domain registry. And we see it as ecosystem. We see it as a networking tool for art community, because it's also built to connect artists and institutions and creative professionals through a shared online space and through shared online representation, being a very significant signifier. So we do highlight our doctors through diverse editorial features on our blog and also via the annual printed magazine. We also curate digital art projects on digital billboards, and they're ranging from New York and Miami to Hong Kong, Seoul, and recently we had a big showcase in Berlin, around 600 billboards there. We also work on AR exhibitions, and the most recent project we are going to soon present in Dublin, and it explores the intersection of technology and nature. And I think that in a way, networking is also built into our DNA. And the goal of .art in general is to help the art community to network with each other and with audiences globally. And of course, it can be of help for the performing as a tool of digital identity and also a meeting point.
Thanks for that, Daria. And I'd like to round it back to Follow Art, because you guys define Follow Art as something that goes beyond follower counts and algorithms. So could you please explain more how you mean?
Yes, for sure. I think I guess start with telling a little bit how Follow Art was developed and how networking also played a role in the growth of the platform. And then I'm gonna move to how we are rethinking the connection going further than social media algorithms. So Follow Art actually grew very organically because we were behind the scenes at the art world. Our sister company, Art Fair Service, has been and still is providing physical infrastructure for art fairs globally, and has been doing it for quite some time. And when COVID hit, fairs couldn't happen physically, and they were looking for digital infrastructure in order to continue their operations. And this is when Follow Art was created. It was created as a platform for online art events. And we were working with fairs. And we also started working with independent curators and providing them a space to realize their creative project. And because of the global nature of online environments, they were able to connect with artists all around the world and bring their works together. And this is through these processes, we started seeing the problems that curators and artists face. How to build visibility on social media, which is very competitive and runs on algorithms, how to reach your audience, how to find it, how to start collaborations creatively, and how to start thinking outside of the traditional structures. Because there is this invisible wall of gatekeeping from traditional institutions, but also now with algorithms, because follower count, likes, comments, views, these systems make creatives perform, like they feel the need to produce content in order to stay visible instead of actually focusing on the development of their practice.
Yeah, and we've spoke with many curators and artists worldwide, and exactly maintaining that digital presence has been a big pain for artists and curators, like equally. I've been personally more researching curatorial side and the way they're sustaining their careers, and that has been also really eye-opening, the way that glamorous profession and the realities of that profession are not so glamorous and more peculiar, and curators and artists having sharing a lot of those pains, and artists sharing that maintaining that digital presence, becoming a second full-time job is just too much. And we've heard it all, and that's kind of how we came to present something that is like a place where there is a balance between visibility and connection. So that's how we perceive it at Follow Art, where we don't use algorithms quite intentionally.
That's it's hard these days to find a place that doesn't use algorithms, so I really appreciate that. Daria, in your experience as a curator, I know that for artists and for curators and for any creative, I think it's a lot of this difficulty in creating and maintaining digital presence stems from the imposter syndrome and the difficulty in calling yourself something. So maybe speak a bit to that and how it was in your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in general, defining your own statement and positioning it is very crucial first step, because as I like to say, a ship sails the way it's named, or the name sets the course of things. And years ago, when I was still trying to understand who I wanted to be in the art world, and I remember hesitating to call myself even a curator, it felt almost too bold. And of course, there was also a bit of imposter syndrome involved, obviously. But the moment I started to actually say it out loud and introduce myself that way, things sort of shifted. And it wasn't just about external perception. It was about also setting a frame for myself and this kind of inner commitment as well. So I think defining your role and starting to see opportunities differently, you attract also conversations and collaborations which very naturally start aligning with your identity. So indeed, I think that clarity in how you define yourself can absolutely open some new and unexpected doors. And also it gives people a possibility to connect with you on a different level and to helping you also to navigate your path more intentionally. I also learned a lot about networking through journalism. That was my experience about like 12 years ago. I started writing for several online platforms, media outlets, and journalism indeed became my first tool for building a network. I was initiating a lot of interviews with museum directors, with curators in the Netherlands, in Belgium. And those conversations not only gave me, obviously, insights in the field of their expertise, but also helped me to very naturally grow my LinkedIn network. And actually, at some point, it even led to new opportunities because I was, for example, noticed by the team of world famous artist Jan Faber, and later on invited to write about his projects and join some press tours. So I think it's very good to try to find these kind of unexpected tools which can work for you, and don't be, afraid, obviously, to do that.
I think the message here is that as you start to walk on the way appears, and it's really important to just make that first step, call yourself an artist or whatever it is that you want to call yourself in the creative world, and grow your network. But speaking of network, I think a lot of people see networking as kind of the first point of making a connection and getting to know somebody, and then it's over. But actually, it's a lot more complicated than that, and you have to build a bit of an ecosystem and relationship. And these days, I think authenticity and trust are becoming even more important because you can make connections on LinkedIn with anybody. People add each other, without knowing each other. So the question to Veronika or Evelīna, how do you see, what is it, how do you define a meaningful exposure and meaningful connection these days in the art world?
Yes, that's actually what we do with our tools. So I think it's important to see networking as a long term commitment and nurturing of the relationship. It's not a quick, like or a transaction, and then you get what you want and you go. It's more about looking at it more sustainably, and this is something that we follow as a team, but also that's something that we translate into our tools. So it's not about this quick exposure when your work gets lost in the endless feed and feed of content, but it's about having this stable, sustainable visibility, which then you build upon and kind of make connection at your own pace. And that's what we do with the Nexus card, which is a combination of a business tool and a portfolio, which you can save to your mobile wallet, which you can share during meetings. And when people receive your Nexus card, what they can do immediately is to see your contact, because let's be honest, sometimes when you search, and Veronika will agree with me, like when you search for curators, you just don't find their contact details. It's just Instagram was not made for as a portfolio tool. Essentially now it's a marketing tool. So it's an opportunity to have your, a snapshot of your professional identity in a very structured way, which is not isolated and is part of a more broader network. And I think I'll let Veronika tell a little bit more about how the connection actually happens at FollowArt, and how we allow people to essentially be themselves and speak also about, their journeys rather than showing only their results.
Yeah, like the best thing about the Nexus card is that it gets to the connectory of all the members on FollowArt, where you're being searched for, or you can search for your peers and artists and curators based on the filtering system. So we have advanced filtering system that you can put the location or the mediums or themes that you're working with, and that just helps you create that intentional search. And even when you're not posting anything on Follow Art, people can still find you. And that's something that we don't get on social media, because there you just gotta perform and gotta feed those algorithms, which is absurd if you think about it. Like, the relationship between creatives and the algorithms is just absurd in a way that algorithms prefer what they know. Artists and curators are about creating new things, unknown things, exploring something unique. And if you really do that, algorithms are not going to find you or prefer you. So yeah, this is essential for us to keep it very algorithms free. And what we stand for is also sharing of the process. That is very important. That is also like something that maybe social media had in the beginning, kind of OG sharing like all kinds of bits and pieces of your life that now turn into this very glamorous magazine cover life that we're all seeing on Instagram. And that, it's not different with artists and curators. We're all showing our best sides, only our successes and wins. But at Follow Art, we thought it would be amazing to have this community board for all to really share the process, because that is also very important. How do you get to where you get, and asking for advice? And that is something that we felt like is lacking, and we're now very happy to see that members just jumped in very quickly and really looking for the support and asking questions and looking for advice and giving advices for their community.
Yeah, I think it's great that there's a place where process has an equal importance as important as the result, because again, in the art world and in many industries, it's not like that. But I'd like to loop it back to Daria again, because we talked during our prep call about how actually starting off your digital presence with an artist statement and your portfolio is part of the exercise for the networking, because the more comfortable you are with your self-presentation, the more confidence you have to actually go into the world.
Yes, absolutely. And also, just like to keep your network always like active and connected with it. So I do really see it as a sort of like a lifelong practice. And I think it's also, something based on genuine connections, relationships, and professional exchange as well. A lot of colleagues are becoming friends, and you continuously, support and inspire each other, brainstorm together. And I think that it's actually not just about visible online, but also about showing up and at the physical events, at exhibitions, at conversations and talks. So even when so much is happening digitally, the human element that keeps, this network meaningful.
I completely agree. And our team has just come back from Freeze in London last week, where we met Evelīna from Follow Art, and it was really nice to actually see someone physically before you see them on the screen. Daria, you've worked in a lot of different countries and regions, I think in the Middle East and Europe. Are there any cultural differences you see in networking that you think are worth mentioning from your experience?
Well, I think there are plenty of those, but I'm not sure if I'll go into that. I would rather maybe even talk about the, working across diverse also disciplines, because it was a big question for me back in the day, like what should I do in a way, because there were some self-doubts in regard to the fact that a lot of curators, they tend to specialize in one area or like one line of research. And I've always been interested in very different intersections of disciplines, kind of like digital art, video mapping, art and architecture, decorative arts. And at first I was worried that I was, jumping around in between fields a lot. But later on, I realized that actually this diversity helps to connect the unexpected dots And here we're talking both about institutions and countries, but of course across different networks. And then also within working on a project or an exhibition, trying to bring all these partners together from different spheres and from different communities. So all these layers, they start complementing each other, and just the project becomes stronger and more sustainable, more connected.
Right. And something that's quite hands-on for our listeners, because I know that Veronika and Evelīna, you have so much insight into watching Creatives Network through your app and through your other initiatives. What do you think are the most common mistakes that you see being done by creatives, and whether you could give some advice for them to avoid those?
I think Daria mentioned something really nice, saying that there should be like you should define a frame. And when Daria was mentioning about yourself, define a frame for yourself, and I think that's great also to use for other people. When you network with others, please define the frame first for yourself, but then that is also going to help the other person understand what is it that you do, no matter if you do it online or on site. That is very important, to have a very structured understanding of what is it that you bring to the table. So that would be definitely something to be looking for, and avoid this chaotic, either it's long PDF that you that people are calling portfolios, that they keep on sending, that are not personalized or selective at all, to actually just knowing your worth when you're presenting. But also another, I'm not sure if that is a mistake, but relying on social media for your professional presence, I think wouldn't call it a mistake. It's just really results in quite a disappointment for creatives, and that's what we've been seeing throughout the years. Like social media is not the only place you connect with other creatives. So really important to just know and not place all your bets on it. But I think we've mentioned already, like the algorithms is just like not working for creatives.
Yeah, and I would add to that what I see happening is that the Instagram exchange. So like let's exchange Instagrams, but it's immediately is lost in the feed and like in the list of your followings and followers. So that's why we believe that this first impression, no matter whether it's online or in real life, is to have your contact ready, have your contacts, exchange it very quickly in a professional way. And the Nexus card is, we believe, the best way to do that. And follow up with the person you just spoke with, and be structured, as Veronika mentioned, like know who the person is, know how to frame yourself, because as curators and artists, they do so many things and they wear many hats. So it's about choosing the right one for the right occasion. And again, so many amazing projects are coming from very random encounters. So that depends what you want to do. If you want to mingle at the opening, don't expect that it's gonna result in a deal. It's just an entry point. So the stuff happens after, when you follow up and another thing, the last thing I want to say is that don't gatekeep your contacts. If you have a nice contact and you see and you know someone, introduce them, because you succeed when you make other people succeed. And the power of introduction, just don't underestimate it. Introduce, be introduced, because it's such a soft entry point.
Yeah, and here I can also add to what Evelīna said. Be out there and have your pitch ready, if I can say it like that. Know your worth and present it to others, but also don't be afraid of rejection. We've recently hosted a workshop where one of the speakers mentioned a really great things, saying that we don't fail enough in the art world. Don't be afraid of rejection. People are busy. People maybe don't have, they don't have this priority to collaborate with you on a project right now. But if you are consistent if you are following up, and if you're already introduced yourself, which is the most important thing, as Evelīna mentioned, that's an entry point, they might come back to you. But if you don't do that, they don't know who they need to come back to. So yeah,
that's a great message. And I think from what you've been saying, guys, what I see is that we should really prioritize collaboration over competition, and that's like a big paradigm shift. But I think if we all try to do just a little bit of that, the world, including the art world, will be a bit better. But Daria, I could see you nodding. Do you have something to add before we wrap up this panel?
I'm just agreeing, and I think of course, I think we've all been through the moments when some projects, they stay on paper for quite some time, but actually, if it's a good one, it will come back to life, and the same with connections. But it's really just be active, just show up.
Just show up. Yeah. Follow up, follow arts. Get your .art domain, get on follow.art and get your Nexus card. Maybe those things really help you define yourself as an artist and just make that first step. And that way you'll find your community and the people to speak to, because that's where the power is. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Moving on to the next panel now. Let me just add the speakers. Right.
Yeah, hello. I can't reach Kadin.
All right, that's okay. We'll start with Svitla here for our digital fashion panel. And really, that's something I'm fascinated by because, as I mentioned before, I don't know much about. And as we were having a prep call with Svitla, she was saying that maybe in 10 years, we all need to have avatars, and it's just a normal thing. And we need to know how to dress them as well, of course. That's where digital fashion comes in. But just to introduce Svitla, she's a fashion designer and digital artist from Ukraine, and she's also the founder of SVD Denim, which became a semi-finalist for the Digital Innovation in Arts and Culture Award, which we wrapped up just last week in London with our team. And that's how I learned about the project, and I absolutely loved it. Because it creates denim garments for people with prosthetic limbs and inclusive wearables for virtual and from what I understand, physical world as well. And Svitla now is also studying fashion futures at the London College of Fashion. So she's definitely the person to ask about the future of fashion and digital fashion and everything that it entails. Svitla, please tell us a bit more about your story.
Yeah, hello. Actually, I'm really thankful for the time when I'm living in, because actually digital fashion started to be my life boy in some way, because as you mentioned, I'm Ukrainian, and I'm from Kherson, a southern Ukrainian city. And I had been building my fashion brand for a few years before the full-scale invasion. It was a physical fashion brand, and I just really enjoyed this work. I work with a gender transformable clothes, and I also work with kind of pushing boundaries across the genderless fashion and all this stuff. But one day I just woke up with explosions, and the tanks just crossed the river around my home and just collected my documents and fled my home and never returned. And that's how I just found myself in Romania. I tried to restore physical fashion activity, but it was too complicated. I was too exhausted. But on the another level, I really wanted to communicate with the world about important issues that really was on the front line of my life. And that's how I started to explore digital fashion. It happened to be a really powerful tool to deliver messages to the worldwide audience, because it's really helps you to achieve high goals with really small resources. I just applied for the grant and just received, I just bought the powerful laptop. And mostly with the help of YouTube, tutorials, I were able to master digital set and to start create fashion, but in this another realm. And I think for people from different backgrounds, from different parts of the world, it's now the shortest way to start to be fashion designers, to start to be a creator, and to reach the audience. And maybe then they can transfer to physical, but this entry point it's much more affordable for people. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great entry point. It's a test bed that allows you to first create not just in your imagination, because very often I see AI as a tool to actually project your imagination into something more palpable, not quite yet physical, but it's just somewhere between the imagination and the physical product. So I love that. Now, during your studies, what are you learning? What is the future of digital fashion, since that's the topic? And is there something that you really didn't expect would be part of the academic program and you find interesting?
Actually, we don't really focus on the digital fashion, and we don't envision digital fashion as the only way of development of all the industry. We are thinking about the possibilities of fashion industry to be changed in order to be more sustainable. Of course, we all now are committed to this idea that actually we are like going to some dystopian future, and we need to avoid this end. And that's why digital fashion, physical fashion, political fashion, all kind of fields of appliance of this industry is only the tools, and we can mix them all around. Just the idea and the thinking process is the main reason of our course. And that's why we just explore a lot of things. Like previously we talked about time as itself, and it was really interesting because for fashion designers, it's really important to look in the future, to envision it, and maybe to assess pros and cons of different strategies, and where we can find ourselves in some time. And I really love this idea, not an idea, but a concept. When we are looking at the future, we can mention a few ranges of possibilities, and one range contain another one, and we have this probable future, this is that it's likely to happen, and plausible future is more wider range. It's something that couldn't happen based on our current knowledge, and the possible one is something that might happen due to our future knowledge. And that's how it's really interesting to think about the fashion brands due to this. They are streamlined, how they are, what the time they address, what the possibilities they address, and do they project something, or they just working with here and now. Yeah, and that also is connected to my work, because as I mastered a lot of digital fashion, and I know a lot about this field, then my father lost his legs on the front line. It was a moment when I discovered that fashion industry is super blind toward the people with disabilities, for different group of disabilities. Like my core is for people with amputees, but there is people with dwarfism, people with neurodiversity issues, etc., etc. And I decided okay, I need to address this issue. And I started to work on a physical fashion brand, but all the prep stage was made fully digitally, and it also gave me a lot of opportunities to save resources and just to express an idea and vision, and just have the evaluation of it, and from an audience. And then as I believe, like in 10-15 years, we all will have our digital twins. We will merge like physical and digital realms. I believe. I feel like this is like this central line of all these ranges, like projective future. But still, many people find it like something plausible or possible. But as I'm aware about the way of humanity development, I think digital fashion now replicate all the blind spots of physical fashion. And if we want to have this digital fashion really like a forefront field, really the field that dictates all the trends, we can easily address this issue in this realm. And the first action we made, it was during the Metaverse Fashion Week by the Central Land. We presented first inclusive skins with prosthetics. And I can show a little video about it if you want.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And I don't know while you put it on, if you were listening to the first panel, but there was Wildy Martinez, an artist who also works in digital fashion and among other things, and she represents the people with vitiligo in it. So that's something else. There you go.
Yeah. Do you see the screen? Yeah.
Yeah, it's online. Everyone is seeing it, hopefully.
Yeah.
So this is part of your project already.
Yeah, like we have real closets, physical one, and digital twin of it, and we applied it for skins and metaverse, because I really believe that people should have this opportunity to be equally represented in all the realms. And it's basically only the start, because we also have this blind spot in the gaming industry, etc. I will be grateful if you will stop sharing.
Yeah, thanks for that. There's actually a question from the audience, because maybe you can answer that. Do you think fashion trends cycle through past patterns? I guess what is meant is that how do these past patterns will be reflected in the digital fashion? I don't know, maybe you see a better angle to this question.
Yeah, and actually it's one of the concerns of application of AI in fashion industry, because I really cautious about the AI because it collects all the knowledges, all the blind spot, all the patterns, as someone said, and just replicate it. And without really intentional guidance of a creator, AI itself can do worse and worse, I believe. And that's why, on the one hand, digital fashion is super powerful because it doesn't have any limitations. Somehow you can just really conquer physics, all the stuff, and you can also, like in my practice, when I started to make this project of Denis, all the digital softwares lack really huge range of avatars that really represent different type of bodies. You can't adjust an avatar to be like avatar with dwarfism, for example. And of course, we don't have avatars with prosthetics. And when I assembled all the outfit with digital software, then I transferred to AI and just not replace myself in this creative process, but use it as a tool and ask to add the prosthetics limb to this image. And that's how I, with the guidance of creator, we can reach this result and avoid all this replication of these patterns. And then I forced it move and actually show the actual audience this perspective, like you can do like this, you can look like this, and they really felt represented during this video, and they gave me a trust because of it. I think digital fashion themselves, AI themselves, is nothing. It's only the tool, and only human, only creator can decide how to use it, and really can give some insight to audience and just change the current life kind of line of development.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying speaks a lot to what Wildy and Deanna was saying during panel 1 about, you have to train the AI as well. And it's kind of on us these days that we change the course of AI development by working with it, and by just withholding ourselves from that whole development. We can't influence it, and it will continue developing and growing anyway. So it's better for us to be part of it, so we leave our mark in it.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. Like, as for me, I really avoided digital fashion for a long time, because for me it looked like we are losing our connections with the people already, with all the social media, etc. And then with the digital fashion, we will be just absolutely covered in our capsules without any interaction. But then I thought, okay, if it already exists and it will inevitably develop, so better I will enter this field and I will add my values to this and trying to shape this kind of future that is unavoidable.
Yeah, and we were actually supposed to be joined by Kadeen James, who is the founder of Immersive Kind. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it, but I know that Svitla, you're working on a project with her. Maybe you could mention that a bit, or other projects you're working on now, and what's in the future for you.
We just planned to work. We have on the background, we have one project that was developed. It's about all these immersive spaces and merged with a kind of history of Ukrainian costume, because I am in this topic really deeply, and I'd like to express, and Kadeen really should support me with this expression of resilience of Ukrainian nation during all these times, and not only this war, but the lines to the chain of wars that are committed on our lands for centuries by our neighbor country, Russia, unfortunately, and that's how we connected with Kadeen. And I really, actually, when I started to work with digital fashion, I dreamed to work with her, because she's super professional. She makes so complex projects with strong ideas, and you can really read the message she put in through the visual images, through all the paths of heroes in her world. So I think Kadeen can add a lot to this conversation.
Well, maybe we'll do another webinar on digital fashion, because it seems to be another thing to explore when it comes to the future. Thank you so much, Svitla. We'll add everything you mentioned to the show notes. And we'll be moving on to our next panel now. Let me introduce, first of all, Yelena. Yelena is head of hug.arts and digital development at .arts. And she'll be doing a panel with many of community members who have been following us and HUG for a while, and exploring how they're dealing with before. So let me just add everyone to the screen.
Oh, nice. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well?
I can. Good morning.
Amazing. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good to see you all here. All right. let's begin. So I will introduce myself. My name is Evelīna, and I run art and Web3 at HUG. I have joined HUG quite recently this summer, but it's already been an amazing experience, and we hosted already so many conversations with you guys, and you participated in the open calls that we launched, and it's just great to have you here. So with a little bit of my background, I've been working with digital art and digital art events since 2017. In 2018, I have founded my own digital art fair called Kadaf. Kadaf got acquired by a company called Live Art in 2023. I've worked there for a couple of years and have joined HUG recently, as I mentioned. So I have a very strong passion for digital art events, and in general, providing more opportunities to the artists. That I can say is really one of my biggest passions in life. So a little bit about HUG. HUG is a community of artists and creators. And now more and more I see art market professionals and curators and some crypto enthusiasts there as well. So I think it's a very dynamic community that keeps changing. We provide diverse opportunities for the artists, primarily open calls, but we've been recently working more and more to bring even more opportunities to the artists, specifically in Web3 space. So we hope to share them with you really soon. One thing that we just started and that I wanted to share, and that I think Anastasia can share with all of you and the viewers and the audience, is that we just launched our community on X. And the goal of the community is a peer-to-peer community where artists would be able to trade the works, to share the works, to share the opportunities with fellow artists without any third-party intervention. So we just wanted to create this kind of closely knit group for the community that we have. Yeah, I see that Anastasia has shared. So it would be great if all of you follow HUG on X. That's first step, and then join the community. And then we just start the conversation there. So artists share their works, and we just take it from there. So that's the idea. And now, without further ado, I would like to give space to the panel, so to the wonderful artists that we have here today. So I think we'll just start with the introductions. Let's start with just the way you are on screen, I guess. So maybe Rebecca, if you want to start. Cannot hear you right now. Maybe you're muted. No. Yes.
Yeah? No? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry
Good.
about that. Hi,
Great.
everyone. Thank you so much for hosting us today and talking about art and .art and our practice. My name is Rebecca Rose, and I'm calling in from sunny Animal Kingdom here at Walt Disney World. I like to do some people watching and look at little micro stories that people carry with them throughout the day. And that helps inspire me to create the narratives in my own work. And I do these spatially collaged animations. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to talk today.
Thank you so much. That was great to have you here today. Thank you for joining. Next, Lance. Is it okay if I call you Lance? I'm just used to it on X, but you can introduce yourself the way you want. Cannot hear you, though. A little bit quiet. Technology that likes to fail us, always, unfortunately. That's the irony of the conversations about art and tech. Tech always fails whenever we do that, so. but that's okay. Maybe while you are figuring it out, let's go to Kizaya, right? That's the way I pronounce your name, or I'm mispronouncing? Can't hear you as well. Oh my God. No. Whoa. Everything works great when we test it, and then something happens.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Hi,
Okay.
CJ. Good to hear. Good to have. While we figure it out, please introduce yourself.
I am Chakai. I'm an artist, AI artist in the space. It's actually been a fairly new transition for me. I started very much as a, tech engineer type of person, but then always had a creative side to me. But then recently, through support like Rebecca and Kezia and other people, sort of came into the artist community and have been full-time artist now for the last few years.
Excellent. Thank you so much. No, it's so great to have you here. I have recently discovered your work, actually, and it's great. Really like it. All
Thank
right.
you.
Do you get,
Hopefully we get the other two on.
I know. Let's give it another try. Do you guys want to say something? Try?
Oh. I can barely hear Lance.
Yeah, I can kind of hear Lance, but I feel like it's just super quiet for some reason.
Huh.
And Kezia, right? That's the correct way to pronounce your name?
Oh. Okay.
All right. So maybe let's start with the conversation, and that you guys are still figuring out. And once you feel you can say something, maybe just say something. All right. So the topic of the conversation today is actually artist tools, because we have so many artists in our community, and there are different kind of questions that people ask. The most common questions is, what do I do in order to get discovered? What kind of tools are being used? What are the most contemporary tools that I can use? So maybe you can share a little bit about the tools or any kind of things that really helped your careers grow, something like that. If you can share with our audience, would be great.
Yeah, if I could go ahead.
Of course.
So first off, Donald Duck is right there, if you guys can see him walking around. So one of the biggest tools that anyone has in their toolkit is it's what's in your own backyard. And when I say that, I mean the things that are around you. If you're able to be scrappy and resourceful and inventive, like you can go really far and do a lot of things with what you currently have and what's available to you at little to no cost. Sure, there are going to be tools that have a monthly subscription fee or like an upfront cost, but there's a lot of tools out there for artists who haven't yet built up or established a name and a market for their work, to really like dive into and apply that into your toolkit. So personally for me, like one of the biggest ways I found to get discovered, and I'm talking like over the past, I'm really going to age myself, over the past like 26 years, 27 years, I've been showing at galleries and exhibitions. The best way to get discovered is to show up and to go in person as well as show up online. So for everybody that's listening, you know that art event that's happening in your local area downtown tonight, Friday night, or tomorrow night, Saturday night, go there. Make sure you introduce yourself to people. Like shake some hands, talk about your work. Like be there in person and meet the people and then follow up online afterwards. Like and that's the biggest tool to have in your toolkit to be discovered and to be remembered. Because an introduction is one thing, but for people to really remember who you are and what you want your artwork to say and what your voice is, for them to remember that, that's what gets you into places and gets you into opportunities.
Thank you, Rebecca. What a great advice. I always remember, Woody Allen's quote that showing up, I think it's like 85% of success.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, people might like you or not, but I think this is, it's so true from the beginning of my career, up until now, for sure, and for the artists as well. So thank you for that. I couldn't agree more.
Testing. Can anybody hear me?
Oh my God, it works.
We hear you. Yes.
Yay. Things are getting there.
Blame it on being on the other side of the world.
You are in Australia, right?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Wow. Great. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, as long as I'm not interrupting. I'm Kezia or Kezia AI, and I'm an intermediate artist and filmmaker currently using AI to create imaginary, surreal worlds that deal with the human condition. And I love being part of Web3 and discussing lots of things with artists. I know a couple of our lovely panelists already, and it's such a wonderful world. So I've been a filmmaker for nearly 30 years and have found my way to AI via chronic illness, and it has changed my life, which has been incredible.
Awesome. While we have you, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I also host Art and Vault spaces, which I can talk about a little bit later.
For sure, yeah, would love to hear about them, and yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would love to listen to them. Maybe while you're still speaking, would you like to share about some tools that you found useful in your career, something that the artists can follow or think about?
Yeah, I experiment with lots of tools. So when tools come out, I'm a real experimenter. So that's what I also really love about learning, is I'm very curious, and I'd encourage everybody to be curious and find what they really are enjoying and love. So I've been creating several different pipelines. I've been creating a like secure, ethical server to create AI with, so that I can train with my own artwork and protect that, but also using ethical models. So I'm working on that at the moment, and I use every tool under the sun. So I've been really enjoying Higgsfield, Midjourney, Luma. I've been enjoying vibe coding, Leonardo, Magnifique, a whole lot of different AI tools that I jump around, and also combine them with my filmmaking tools that I already know, so editing and grading and sound design, and also creating music. So I am enjoying the kind of revolution that is our times with this new technology.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Sounds really great.
I'm glad you can hear me now.
And we can hear you now, which is even better. Love that. All right. Thank you so much. Chikai, would you like to speak about tools as well?
Sure. I mean, it's interesting because the things that I really resonated with Rebecca and Kezia said was more about something that is within yourself than necessarily a specific tool. One is showing up. I mean, that's a huge thing. And the other one is being curious. And those will lead you to the right tools, the right opportunities to do whatever you want to do. And I think that, through that, I mean, I'd say Rebecca was one of the first people to sort of support me and suggest me for an exhibition in Italy. And so I'm very thankful to Rebecca having been there so early on.
Love you,
Kezia has been an incredible host of just the way she introduces people always, I think, makes everybody blush every time she introduces people. She says a great sort of host. And so those type of connections, I think, make visibility and authentic visibility, not just being out there and sort of, trying to get seen, but seen in an authentic way, I think is important. And I think I've learned from that is that there's mediums that work better for you than others. Some people are better at speaking, some people are better at writing, some people are better at video clips or whatever. There's different ways. And some people just like let the art speak for themselves. And so I think there's different ways to come across as authentic as possible and find the medium by which to do that. And then, I think curiosity often leads you to the right tools. I mean, it often comes from you. Otherwise, you'll be led by, whatever the tools want you to do for their purposes. But if you say, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm curious about, it'll lead you to the right tools, the right people. And in the end, I think those people are what matter the most in terms of exposure, the right kind of exposure, at least, I think, because just showing up and being there and being present and meeting people, those are the ones that get you where you need to get to.
Excellent. Thank you so much. No, I think it's so important that, it's so interesting that we're all probably in different parts of the world or very remote, and yet we're connected to one another. We help one another. So I think the personal connection definitely, it resonates with me a lot. So thank you for that. Great. Lance, do you want to give it a try? I'm not sure. Maybe you want to try to add it and then get back on again. This could help. This helped Kezia, I see. Yeah. All right. So while we are waiting for Lance, I thought that, people love hearing stories. So maybe if you can share one moment, one event, one platform, just as an example, or something that has really influenced your career or helped your career. Just one pivotal moment, I guess, in your Web3 digital art lives that has changed everything to the better. You can share that.
That's difficult to choose just one. I'll have to go last.
That's all right.
Want me to go next, Kezia, or do you want me to go? Okay.
After you.
No, for me, from the artist perspective, because my journey has been pretty diverse from, being a collector to being a builder to running a gallery and stuff. And I think the one most recently that has been transformative for me was AI video. When it came out in the summer of 2023, the image to video that Runway put out was just transformative, because the way I often describe it is that it's like a kid who can't talk and finally learn how to talk, and they can't stop talking. They can finally express themselves in the way they always been meaning to and wanted to. And that moment, that technology allowed me to sort of express myself in a way that maybe I'd always had in the back of my head, but had never had the opportunity to do. And so it's an example where, is of a technology that gave a voice versus necessarily, I've always been a filmmaker and I can now make films a different way, but it's like I found my art form, my medium, and it never existed before. And if it never existed, I'm not sure if I ever would have gone this direction. And so I'm very thankful for that discovery and that moment, because I would not be on the path I am in now without that event.
Super interesting. Thank you for sharing. Kezia, do you want to go next?
Again, there is so many. It's such a wonderful kind of connection of global artists, curators, builders, collectors. It's just so wonderful, the whole world of Web3 and how we all can talk and learn together. I think I'll shout out Farah and Art and Vault, because that's been a really fantastic thing. Farah couldn't make it today, but she's listening in and says hello. So Art and Vault is a global platform that was started by Farah and championing artists at the forefront of art and tech. So we interview different artists and talk to them about their process, their techniques, their why and wherefore. I've spoken to both Rose and Shikai out of this panel, and that's been really great in terms of opening different connections and avenues, and kind of fostering discussion around where creativity is going and where it's been.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, would love to hear more of your talks. Maybe we could partner sometimes and host talks together.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, let's definitely do that. Thank you so much, Kizzy. And yeah, so sorry Farah wasn't able to make it today, but we'll definitely have her on in the future spaces. Speaking about spaces, we actually as Hack host these conversations, try to host them every week, every Friday on X. So please join us on X, and we'd love to have everybody here, of course, to join one of the discussions. Great. Lance, do you want to give it another try and say hi? Oh my God. I don't know what's going on, but we cannot hear you. I'm so sorry. But yeah, we'll do it again. That's for sure. And we'll definitely do another one on X where I'm sure we can hear you without a problem. But yeah, sorry. Thank you. Rebecca, do you want to share one special event or something super special that has happened to you? As I'm sure there were a lot of events and everything, but something that comes to mind.
Yeah, it took me a while to really pick this one out, but it really is the cornerstone of how I entered the Web3 arena, and it's because of Clubhouse. So Clubhouse was a relatively new app around COVID time, excuse me, and picked up steam in 2021. And it was, think of Twitter Spaces before Twitter Spaces. That's the kind of tech that Clubhouse offered. It was like a big group setting by the digital campfire, and everybody was talking about NFTs and Web3 and crypto and blockchain and how it relates to art. And at the time, I think I was still in quarantine, and I hopped in a space, in a Clubhouse space, in the Clubhouse room, we called them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've heard of this term before, but I don't really know much about it. This is my opportunity to really learn about it. And that Clubhouse time, that Clubhouse era in like early 21 up until Twitter Spaces became a really big thing. I met the curators that curated me into the early group shows. Friends that I considered like they're such good friends now. I met in that Clubhouse on that Clubhouse app. Ooh, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we hear you very well.
Oh goodness, I hear sirens. I'm like, I know that's not coming from the parks.
All good.
A lot of collectors that I met initially through Clubhouse, like we're still friends. Like their Clubhouse was the moment. That was the building block between what I was doing with my artwork before entering the NFT and Web3 space. It really was because of Clubhouse. It was a fascinating tech at the time, and of course, like Twitter Spaces became a bigger thing. But yeah, I'd have to say that was the best tool in my toolkit back then.
Thank you. Yeah, and Clubhouse was huge for me as well. We, especially it was during the pandemic, so it definitely has become one of the important tools, followed by X Spaces. But it was great. I wanted to mention that we're also getting some really nice comments on the YouTube streaming, which I'm reading, and there are some questions that I thought maybe we can answer. There is a question from Flory88, and it's a very practical question. I like that. So if we can just try to reply. So the question is, do you start your ideas with pen on paper or Apple Pen on iPad, then proceed to still images and animations, or just prompt creation and image manipulation? And it's the question to everyone.
It's a good question.
I like it.
I'll jump in if that's okay. So it varies. It varies. Like right now, I'm starting a piece by being at Animal Kingdom, believe it or not, because I consider people watching and gathering like micro stories of the things that I observe as like the early seeds to a new narrative. And so sometimes I'll start my pieces by people watching in the theme parks. Sometimes I'll, well, a lot of the times I do storyboards to nail out the keyframes and the different scenes and narrative beats that I want to hit when I tell a story in my animations. And I do that like with an Apple Pencil, an iPad on Procreate. And then sometimes the piece like has a mind of its own and it just like starts. I don't know how to say it without sounding weird, but it kind of like takes a direction that feels very strong, and so I follow it, and it takes me on a ride while it kind of like manifests in a weird way, almost like I become a vessel for the animation to come through. But yeah, it really depends, and for everybody it's going to be different, obviously. Like sometimes they start with a prompt, sometimes they I think on only 2 of my pieces I've prompted like ChatGPT to be like, hey, give me like a 16 bullet pointed narrative about X, Y, and Z. I've only done that twice. I'm curious. I should probably do that more. See where it takes things. Yeah, I don't know. It really, really depends on what the piece is gonna be. Sometimes sometimes it starts with a curatorial theme if it's for a specific group exhibition. Yeah, it really depends. And this is why I go back to what I said at the start, like your toolbox should be everything in your backyard, like metaphorically speaking, the tools that you're comfortable using, and the tools that you're curious enough to like explore with and experiment with, like Kezia said, like that really is the best way to start with what you know, and then allow it, like free yourself from holding on to 100% control and allow the piece to kind of take you in directions that it wants to go. And that's a really good way to start.
Excellent. Thank you. How about you guys?
Do you want to? I'll jump in. So, in terms of ideas, it's interesting, like versus like the actual physical manifestation. I mean, because everything I do is AI, so it's always a prompt somehow to start, because a lot of AI is the core of my art practice. But I often less start with an idea, but more with the feeling. There's a certain feeling that I want, and then I'm trying to figure out how does that feeling manifest into a piece. And sometimes it is a very simple piece. It could be a very short cinematic AI piece. I do a video piece. Most of my pieces are AI video. And sometimes they're much bigger ideas. They start somewhere and they sort of grow over time until it gets to the feeling that I want. So I often start with a feeling and just trying to find that. And you're saying, does this capture what I'm feeling inside? And sometimes there's this one scene. The example I always give that resonated really well with me, because, when I first started, it was very much, again, AI video. You often start with a script. You go from a script to then, storyboarding to, then, shooting film and so forth. Whereas I always started with just a scene, often just one simple scene, and just something about it that I like, a feeling, an aesthetic. It could be whatever it is, but in the end, it's some feeling about it. And the story I heard was Miyazaki, when he did My Neighbor Totoro, he started with just one sketch of Totoro, the girl at the bus stop in the rain with the umbrella. And that's where everything started. And he talked about how his team was like, where's the story going? Like, what's happening next? I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. And he just sort of wandered through it and built out this whole story and universe. And so you can just start with that. And I think that for most scenarios, like if for most film type work, I think you have to have a script because you just got to plan because there's resources. But if you're someone like Miyazaki, we have a whole team of people just waiting for you to do whatever. You can just do any process you want. And I think AI allows you to have more of a Miyazaki type process because you have all these machines at your beck and call to go wherever you want to and discover that story through the process of just traveling through the ideas and then finding what that's going to be. And it may end up being something that you anticipated or something that's completely different. And it's more akin, at least to me, from my process, it's more akin to like documentary filmmaking than feature filmmaking, because I don't think you really know the story when you start. You just start shooting, you have an idea. I've talked to a lot of different documentary filmmakers, and the story sort of presents itself, and the core of the story changes depending on what happens, both in terms of the filming and what you get, but also life events happen, like somebody dies or some world event happen, and then the story completely shifts in a way that you didn't anticipate because something happened in the real world. And so I think that's sort of my ideation sort of process.
This is so interesting. Now, both of you have such an interesting process, and I'm also reading the comments. Artists are very, very inspired by what you say. So I think that's really, really great. You can also look at the comments. It's very nice. Kezia, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I similarly use all the tools in my toolkit, and often it starts with a thought or an emotion or an intention to kind of and then I kind of try and figure out how to get into it. So that's writing things down in a notebook. I've always constantly got a notebook with me to write things down in. It could start with a prompt and one image, and I suddenly see a whole world within that, and then go, oh, this is what this is, and kind of expand on it. It actually reminds me of creating video art in the 90s in the way that it's got this experimental approach, and that it's a bit unpredictable, and you're inventing a new language. So we're kind of all here at this sort of dawn of this new language with AI, and just trying to figure out what that means to our creativity. And yeah, and the non-linear nature. So I think I come at it from lots of different points of view, and then get to the kernel of the idea, and from that kernel of the idea I then expand back out again, if that makes sense.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Iterating and iterating and like iterating ideas, and that's what I really love AI for, is that you can kind of iterate on your ideas and then figure out which ones are going to really take. And so for somebody that's got a lot of ideas, it's a really brilliant kind of thing, because you can kind of fail again, fail better, and you can keep doing that. That's a Samuel Beckett quote that I love, because it's sort of not everything that you do is going to be exactly what you imagine or what you feel, but the more you practice that, the more that it becomes in tune with going, this is how I feel, or this is my thought or concept that I want to get across, and then I've chosen the right medium and the right idea and the right way to tell that for how I want the audience to perceive it.
Thank
or
you
how
so
I want
much.
to perceive it.
Thank you. Actually, there is a really nice question from Farah that I wanted to bring up. So she's asking, with these tools offering almost infinite iterations and possibilities, how do you know when a work is truly finished or when it's time to let it go? I think it's just such a great question, so I wanted to bring it up.
Wow, that's hard. Oh my gosh, because like I consider myself like a perfectionist and really obsessive about my process and really process heavy, that I could keep working on a piece forever if I was allowed to. So the thing that makes it finished for me is a deadline.
That's a good one.
It's the deadline. It's the deadline. Otherwise, I could just keep, building upon it, adding more elements, adding side stories. Like I could go on and on and on and on. But it's the deadline that makes me let go of a piece and know when it's finished. I shouldn't say that. Maybe like the deadline is maybe half of it, but like the piece will tell you, and you'll feel it in your gut. You'll know when it becomes too busy or becomes too scatterbrained, and you have to like dial it back a bit. And maybe learn to edit and take things away if you overwork something. So yeah, it really depends on the piece, and I truly feel that a piece is finished when there's a clear narrative or storyline that has, like, at least for my work, like a first, a second, and a third act. And that third act is crucial and should answer all the questions that you present in the first and second act. So that's how I know a work is finished.
Thank you, Rebecca. That's great. How about you, Chikan?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. How do I approach the finished element, or like when I'm done with the work? And I think there's 3 different scenarios I can think of for me. One is that I have this idea in my head. If I start something, I almost always try to finish it, just to complete the work. Whether it's truly finished or not is another question, but I try to finish it and get done with it, because sometimes it lingers on my head so long that I can't think of anything else. So it just allows me to continue to create work. So I do have in mind that if I start something, I do try to force myself to finish it, even though I may not want to finish it. And the second thing is that, there are other projects, like one I'm working on right now called Latent Space Terminal, which is been going on for several, like 6 to 9 months, maybe longer. And some of the projects are even longer than that. But like, it just takes the time for it to figure out what it's going to be. And I don't know when it's finished yet, but it's just there, and it won't go away from it. It's not something I can just put down, but it just sticks, and so I need to work on it, and I'll come back to it. But it is something where it just takes time just to figure out what it's supposed to be. Not only from the work itself, because I think there's 2 phases sometimes in my work, where one is when the work is finished, but then there's the other half, which is how does that work make its way into the world? And so that could be like, how do you, form it as a collection, exhibition, whatever it is. Like, once the work is there, like, the other question is, how can I get this out? How does this make its way out? Or does it? And often it involves partners or people that help you tell the story, or just how do you really make people understand what you created? And so that's another part of the journey. And the last thing I'll say is, like, sometimes, I think I saw it in like a Rick Rubin sort of video interview or something, but there are times where I just keep on adding, like this current project I'm working on, and it just doesn't make it any better. Like, I think I saw a comment about this on the thing, but like every time I add something, it just made it worse. So if I can't edit anything that makes it better, then it's like, okay, maybe. But sometimes the insight where I flip it and it makes it better, but there's this process of honing it, and when you can't add anything more to make it better, then it's probably done. But it is I think it's not necessarily a set answer, and it's different on different scenarios. And what finished means to me also means something different, because the creative part may be finished, but it's not made its way out in the world. And sometimes it takes months or even longer for the work, once it's done, to make its way out into the world in the right way. And that's a whole process I'm learning now as an artist, which is that process, which I think is part of the sort of idea of visibility, or just how does it get exhibited? How does it, discover sort of collectors and so forth, where there is that journey. And that is something that I think I've learning more. I know more on the digital side, Web3, just because I'm so familiar with it from the collector side and other sides. But also as an artist, like, what does that mean? How do you make sure it makes its way to the right people in the right way? Because it may be one thing, but if you sell it, or if you present it in a way that's not, or in a context which is against it, then that may not be the right context. So that's part where I've learned both good and bad about how to do that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And I think kind of letting go becomes kind of a part of the creative process in itself, because, you know, where you stop, that's what the artwork is going to be at the end of the day. So I think it's
Yeah, I
super
totally agree.
interesting.
There's a life it will take on its own, and there is some the best art I think will have a life of its own. It will become something within the world to other people that you no longer have control. It is of the people now, not yours to sort of to do, because people react to it differently. So I totally agree with that.
100%. Kizia, do you want to add your touch?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see when a work gets, you know, when it is finished, and when the pendulum stops kind of going like this till you know that you're ready. I guess it's every work takes a different amount of time. Some take hours, some take days, some take years. I've got one project that I've been working on since 1997. So I take a photo every day that I'm in. It's like a proto selfie, the Kezia library, and I'm still working on that and want to kind of bring that into the digital age. I've got a cubic meter of photos that I'm going to get scanned, and that's a whole lifelong project. And then I do very quick artworks that like might take me a week, 2 weeks, a month, and I sort of love the difference of having some that are long and some that are short, so that you kind of got this kind of weave of different ideas that are coming out at different times of your process, if that makes sense. And I really like it when the concept, the visuals, and the narrative all really work together. And to me, that's when they kind of, when it feels like the pendulum stops, is when all of those things come together and they kind of feel that they express the emotion or the idea that I want it to. Deadlines also do help. I do agree. Whether they're self-imposed or from other people, to prioritize which artwork or which work you're going to do, because there's obviously, we've all got so many different avenues, and so to focus on getting the next idea out, because sometimes you can go, I've got so many different things going on, which one am I going to do? And then I find that I just hone into one and really hyper focus and kind of get that one out the door. And that sounds kind of like clinical. I don't mean it like that. I just mean like I love ideating and thinking and creating, and so that's whole part of the process. But there's the other part of the process, which is finishing the work, getting it out there, as Chakai sort of talked about as well. So there's the sort of two sides of it in a way. There's finishing the actual work and then finishing it getting out there, which I totally agree with.
Thank you so much. So many great insights. I feel like we could go on for much longer, but I think we are at about time. It's been really great to have you all here today and share your stories and your tips for the artists. I think they're really invaluable. Please follow all of our guests on X and on other social media accounts to follow their stories, their art, their ideas, the events, and get involved. And also please follow hag.art on X as well, so that we can share all of your stories. And I would love to thank you all again for joining, and let's do that again very soon in one space or another. But thank you so much for showing up and being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for hosting.
Thanks for inviting us.
Great conversation.
Thank you.
Right, and this concludes our last panel, Elena. Thank you so much for hosting that.
So much fun. I really enjoyed it.
And I loved all the insights we got, because I think there was a lot of conversation about AI, of course, but also a lot of conversation about how it should be seen as a collaborator and not competition. And I think that's kind of like a thread that goes through everything, because even for networking, we were saying that that's the paradigm shift we have to make between competition and collaboration. So let's all think about that. And indeed, follow us. You can follow, or you can find all the social media links at art.art and hug.art. We have a lot of open calls going on. We'll have more surprises for you in the coming days for International Artists' Day. This is not it. So stay tuned. Yelena, do you have anything else to add?
And I would just like to thank you all for joining. Yes, please follow us on X. Please come and explore our new community on X. I'm super excited about it because I think it's a great opportunity for the artists to share their work. It's a peer-to-peer community, so we're just there to help you, I don't know, reinforce the conversations or bring more people on board. So please do that. And I would like to thank Anastasia for putting it all together. It's a great event, so many wonderful speakers, so many great ideas, and I can't wait for a new digital fashion conversation because that's something that I really love. Would love to work on that with you again, try to put something bigger together.
Gosh, yes, definitely. We definitely need to have a separate webinar on that and a bigger one on networking because I feel like we just scratched the surface. So it's great to have this every year to just represent the variety of topics that the artist community is interested in. And we'll keep doing this. The webinar is a monthly. So again, stay in touch. And if you want to get your .art domain as a listener of this webinar, you can get 50% off on any domain, even a premium one. Using the code webinar at get.art. That's our address for domains, or using any other registrar if you prefer. With this, we're going to say goodbye and wrap it up. Thanks again for listening. We'll put everything in the show notes on YouTube and see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.